Listen carefully, we don't have much time. The Flux is coming.
Hello, you lovely lot, and welcome back to Who Knew Fluxed. We are back again. It is week 3, chapter 3. It's the episode that is so lovely titled Once Upon Time. That's what we're covering today. And oh boy, was it an episode. I mean, we've got a lot to talk about. I want to say obviously I am joined again by a fantastic guest and a newcomer to Who Knew, someone who hasn't actually been on the show yet, which I will fix at some point very, very soon. Don't worry about that. But this will do for now. It is the one and only Purple Doctor himself. It is Dominic G. Martin. How are you?
Hello. I am pretty good. I'm getting over the cold, so
Good.
It's all good.
Yeah, you've been a bit poorly, which is a shame. And obviously, you know, you want when you've been ill, you want the kind of TV that just lets you shut your brain off and lets you ease down. So let's talk about one of the craziest episodes of Doctor Who that has ever been. And because I keep forgetting to do this, 2 things. First off, spoilers. I keep forgetting to say spoilers. I mean, if you're here watching this, please click off. And if you haven't seen it yet, I mean, I don't know what you're doing here, but yeah, spoilers, big spoilers for Once Upon Time. And I know the question on everybody's lips has also been, what is Josh going to have on his shelf this week? You know, last week we had potatoes for the Sononauts. The week before we had pumpkins, and I've been quite creative this week. I don't know if you can see this right there. That's some thyme.
That's clever. That is clever.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah. Can you tell that I'm slowly running out of ideas for this part of the podcast? I'm regretting doing it. Pumpkins were such an easy shout, and I was like, yeah, that's great. And then potatoes were right there, and now I'm like,
that's outside the box thinking, though. That is outside the box. I respect that.
Yeah, lovely bit of time right there. I mean, there's actually time in here as well. Fresh. Well, it's not fresh. It's in a packet. But anyway, let's go on to the actual matter, which is, again, Doctor Who Flux. Every week on here, and I break down each episode of Doctor Who Flux with our wonderful guests. And as I said, a lot to break down this week. I think the best place to start, Dominic, would be your initial thoughts. I imagine, have you only watched the episode once?
Yeah, I've only watched it once.
So yeah. What are your, because we're coming at this from different angles, because I have managed to sneak in a rewatch.
Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah, I did tweet out the night that it came out that that I think this is the Doctor Who episode that sums up the phrase needs a rewatch more than any other. So 2 different little approaches here. But after your first viewing, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I do wish I could have given it a rewatch, because yesterday I was coming home from Birmingham MCM, and then I just got to watch Dead of Night. Today I was attending a recording, so that was just like, this is a long day. I'm not going to be able to rewatch it in time. Let's just hope my memory holds up. But yeah, it lingers in your mind, that's for sure. Yeah, it is one that is definitely like, you keep thinking about it. It's just like the various little twists and turns that it gave you, and it's astonishing in that sense that they managed to pack so much in. It's kind of like Halloween Apocalypse. That was also a very dense episode. This one was also quite dense. You got a load of the Doctor's past, etc., and you seeing what the other companions are going through while they're in their little time bubbles or whatever the hell they are supposed to be. I guess I would say there's just so much, man. I enjoyed it for the most part, but yeah, there are a lot of questions that are raised by it, some of which probably won't be answered for a couple of weeks, some maybe never, some maybe tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, but next Sunday.
Hopefully. I mean, that's pretty much sums up where I was at. I mean, last night I sort of just sat there for about 10 minutes after I watched it and was like, I think I liked it. And I saw a lot of people tweeting that as well. I saw a lot of the reaction was, I think I liked it, but I don't really know.
Yeah.
And I think it was good. And while I was watching it, all of the individual elements I really liked, but it was this really weird feeling at the end of it. I don't really know how to put my finger on it. I don't want to say underwhelmed, or I don't know. I just felt a little bit flat at the end. I don't know if it was just because there was so much to take in, and I was just a bit knackered by it all.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it was a journey. The episode did end quite on a dour note, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Vinda being let off to search for, being left onto this planet, which is in ruins. Then there's the Yaz and the Doctor's relationship, which is a bit... And then you got Dan having to find his other half, potential other half.
Yes.
And then you got the Doctor, who's just in a bit of a state herself, and then the Angel, obviously, as well. It was a bit of a downer ending, to be honest. So
it was a bit.
If you're feeling flat, then it's probably just down to the whole atmosphere.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I did tweet. I also mentioned a few days before. I was like, I think it'd be good if at this point in the series they did sort of what Infinity War did, and like our characters sort of lose in a way, like not like there isn't really a proper victory at the end of this episode in the way that there was at the end of War of the Sontarans, or the way that Halloween Apocalypse was just left us hanging. Like there was sort of like a definitive, like as soon as Swarm goes, you sort of feel, I mean, the Doctor's saved them, but it's sort of not gone the way the Doctor probably would have wanted. I mean, let's go back to the very beginning of the episode, because there's one character in particular that, especially on the rewatch, which I must say, this episode on a rewatch really holds up. I much preferred it on a second watch, definitely. And the ending didn't feel as I said, as underwhelming when you sort of can piece together all of the bits and pieces across the episode that are going on. But one shining light for me was Belle. I really, really like Belle as a character. So great. And just a really, I don't know, just a really lovely, cool character to get introduced to. I worry that it's maybe a little bit too late in the series to bring her in, but I mean, what are your thoughts on Belle and that whole side plot that we got throughout the episode?
I really liked her as well. I got kind of vibes of I don't know, she just felt very much a companion sort of character. Like she's traveling around, I guess. Maybe I don't want to say Dr. Light, because that I feel like that's going too far, but very much in that interim, because she's seeming to be a hero in her own right. She's a bit of a survivor. So I really quite like that little subplot that they had going on with her, because it was nice to get a perspective from someone who had survived the universal apocalypse. And in that perspective, she was definitely kind of like an insight into what life post-Flux was going to be, because you could see that she was already seeing the various enemies of the Doctor capitalizing on what had happened to the Daleks and the Cybermen, Sontarans, etc. I mean, she made mention to the Sontarans, but so one can assume that she probably came across them as well. But I thought that she was generally really, really well handled. I don't think they probably could have fit her in earlier because, there was too much going on in the Halloween apocalypse.
This is the thing. Yeah, I mean, because I say that, but then I think, where are you gonna fit her? There's, without dropping other threads.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, I really, really liked her presence, and I hope. I mean, there's a few bits and pieces that we've seen from her in the trailer that I don't think we've seen yet. So I think we've got quite a bit more of Belle to see. Maybe not this episode, but I mean, like Survivors of the Flux, I imagine is going to focus on a lot of these side characters rather than our main trio, which I'm really excited for. I'm excited for these people to get all of these fun characters because I like everything that I've seen from everyone. I just worry that by the end of the series, we're going to be at the end of their story and it's not going to have felt like we've seen enough of them. So I think having an episode that focuses on those threads and sort of takes maybe the Doctor and Yaz and Dan out of it a little bit would be quite beneficial, I think. And I think maybe do the inverse in Village of the Angels, maybe sort of drop a few of the threads for a week and then focus on Dan, Yaz, and the Doctor, and then pick it all back up the week after and sort of ramp towards the finale. I think that would work quite well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So after that, we had some Doctor Mind Palace action, which I really liked. I really liked that sequence. It was very Capaldi in Heaven Sent, that sort of slow-mo, trying to figure everything out. Before we head into absolute pandemonium, there's been a bit of discussion on Twitter about whether the whole concept of the episode was confusing or not. I mean, where do you feel on it? Because I feel like I kept up, and I sort of understood what was going on. It was more just there was so much I couldn't really take it all in, and that's why on the second watch it worked better. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, it was a bit of a fast watch. I mean, if you have to be very much focusing on it to be able to grasp what's going on and which scenario you're in, otherwise it'd be very easy to get confused and lose your place entirely. When people say that it was totally not confusing, I don't think I mean, the way to say, I mean, it's just trying to find the words to say it, is be like, everyone approaches Doctor Who differently, really. So some people will go into it expecting like your standard, straightforward adventure of the week. Others will want a timey-wimey adventure. We got a lot of that in the Stephen Moffat era, more of the adventure, more of the Russell T Davies era. So again, it all depends on your taste, really. So it can apply to what taste of Who some people enjoy and what ones you're kind of used to, because when it comes to more, I guess, casual fans, they might not have seen every episode. And if you haven't seen every episode of Flux before this one, then you're in for a rough time, fella.
Yes, definitely.
It's very much, I think that is definitely a case where rewatching will definitely help you in terms of what parts of the plot that you can and cannot understand. You will get it eventually. It may just need a little bit more viewing. But for me personally, I didn't find it amazingly confusing, but there were points in which I had to rewind it a bit and just be like, hang on a minute. Let's get that immediate validation.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, let's work our way through these various plot line things, whatever is happening. So let's work our way through. Let's start off with Yaz. There's a lot of interesting stuff with Yaz in this episode. So obviously when the Doctor sort of dives into the time storm and we see the Doctor sort of jumping through different characters' memories after hiding them in their own memories, which I really like that idea. I like the way that it was put, that the Doctor's sort of hiding them in their own timelines to protect them. I think that's a really nice idea. It's a little bit nonsensical, but I sort of just still think it sort of works. I do like it. But the Yaz stuff, obviously, we get that moment with the Doctor and the Weeping Angel in the time storm, and it could have gone after anybody. but it seems to go specifically for Yaz. And there's mentions multiple times that it's stalking her. We see it in the police car, and then we see it in the game, and then obviously it's paid off at the end of the episode. I have some interesting thoughts on what this little angel could be and what it could be doing, but I want to hear yours first. What do you think is going on there? Do you think it's just a case that this angel has picked one of them at random, and Yaz maybe seems like the most vulnerable at the moment, maybe, or for some reason? I mean, what are your thoughts?
It's an interesting one, because the way it was even like displayed in terms of the scenario, this was supposed to be Yaz's time stream and her memories in a sense. I was wondering how the hell did the angels infiltrate it to that degree, even to the degree of getting into a video game, but then you're kind of harnessing image of an angel becomes an angel rules there. And so it feels like that it constructed itself within the time stream just by that little image. And I do feel it probably is maybe stalking Yaz for some reason. Maybe she is because she, of the current companion team, is the closest to the Doctor, has the most exposure really in terms of time travel. With Artron energy, maybe something might be something to do with that, but just due to time and unluck of the draw. It's curious because the way it seems to be tracking her in every circumstance is weird. It's kind of like with Dan, and I find it fascinating just the way the angels operate in general, because the rules do tend to change, but there does seem to be a very loose consistency through them that does keep being maintained despite all the exterior rules changing around. So like we have the image of an angel becomes an angel, but what if you create that image of an angel, then that will become an angel as well. So I do think that, and it ties into that angel at the very end of the episode, that might again be a construct that was inhibited through Yaz in the way that it breached the TARDIS's defenses, because it already had that subconscious influence through a time stream. I know that might end up being random bull. That will be disproven by the next episode. But anything goes in this particular series, I think.
Yes, anything does go. No, I like that. I do, like you said, like with the way that the rules of the Weeping Angels, like they sort of change slightly, but there is that linear, there is that line through from Blink to now, like that core element is still there. I think the image thing is something that Chibnall is leaning really into here. The image of an angel becomes an angel, which I love. And I love the way he's doing it. I think doing it through the video game and through the phone is a really interesting way, and it makes them scarier. Again, because I feel like it gets to the root of that famous quote from John Pertwee about a Yeti on the loo in Tooting Bec. You know, you having that monster invade your home comforts, and you know, seeing a weeping angel invade video games or invade your phone, and knowing that can then come out of your phone or a video game, just adds that modern twist on the Weeping Angels that I really like. I do have a theory that I want to run by you, which I've tested on Twitter, and people seem to like it. I mean, it's pretty cruel. We've got this angel with the cracked face, which is this new design of an angel that was on the cover of Doctor Who magazine, and is then the one that takes over the TARDIS at the end of the episode. I think that angel is Yaz.
Oh my.
I think Yaz is, in the next episode, possibly becomes an angel, is converted into an angel. And I have various different reasons for this. I mean, one is why is it picked Yaz specifically? Why do we have this new design when, from what I've seen, a lot of the other images of the angels, they look relatively similar to how they used to, but this one with the cracked face does look different. Like it's like a whole new face structure for the angels, which intrigues me. And also, in episode 1, we get a lot of emphasis on the fact that Yaz can now pilot the TARDIS. And then we get a lot of emphasis on the fact that at the end of this episode, the angel is piloting the TARDIS, which we've never seen an angel do before.
Oh my!
So I don't know. There's threads there. I think the theory could work, and in that circumstance, I mean, maybe that the Yaz angel, their place in the story is to make sure that the Doctor, Yaz, and Dan get to where they need to go in order for that to happen, and we end up with a bit of a bootstrap paradox. That ends up looping, and the Yaz angel is sort of helping things along, knowing that if they don't go on this path, then the flux can't be resolved, and Yaz will be an angel forever. And maybe it's a way to break the bootstrap. I don't know. It's a theory. It's messy, but I don't know. I mean, we saw on a podcast that Billy Garrett John dropped a theory about this week's episode, which we'll get onto, and he was right. So here's mine. I'm chucking my theory out there. We'll see if it pays off. But
I like it.
I like it as well. I quite like it.
It kind of fits with the behavior of the angel at the end. Yeah.
Have you seen The Haunting of Hill House?
No.
Oh, okay. There's a very similar twist in that, in which a character is revealed to be a villainous character, but as not really a villainous character. It's a very similar twist, and that was sort of where my mind was going when I was thinking about it. And yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, we've got a few more theories from people who've watched it and sent us things in on bloody Twitter. So I mean, let's go to them now. Let's do a little bit more theorizing. Let's see what people have to say over at bloody Twitter.
For God's sake! Bloody Twitter!
The Bird app.
Yes, the Bird app. So we've only got a few this week, just because, again, there's so much to talk about. We need to keep this moving.
Yeah.
So the first one is from Jude, my faithful companion in
Jude
audio series at _pig in tea break. The Weeping Angel flying the TARDIS adds further weight to the theory that weeping angels are disgraced Time Lords. So there's another thing. I think a lot of people are clinging on to the idea of the angels being able to fly the TARDIS. People like me, and people like Jude. But that is an interesting theory. I think it's interesting to link them to the Time Lords. Where do you stand?
Well, I think it's perfectly logical. I think that is very much dwelling in that one line in the end of time, with Rassilon referring to the weeping angels of old.
Yes.
And that I've always wanted to know where that could go, if that is a deliberate reference to the weeping angels actually being Time Lords.
Yeah.
Or if that was just something more of a throwaway line. Mm-hmm. But I really like that. I've always had a little inkling that maybe they could go in that direction of them being Time Lords if they wanted to. Never really saw any sign, but it would explain the whole like feeding on time energy and all that. So I feel like that has some credibility to it. And if that came true, I wouldn't even be mad.
I would
like that.
I'd quite like that. I really like that. I mean, we now don't know where the Doctor is originally from. Maybe it's something to do with there. Maybe it's the Doctor's real home planet. that isn't Gallifrey that they're linked to. Who knows? I think the Weeping Angels are a very, very interesting prospect this series. It's probably the one little thread that I'm most excited to see tie up, because I know that Chibnall's teased that they are in it for sinister reasons, this series, which is very exciting. Very exciting. The next one, we have another theory from Reese Dell at RHY5D3LL. Reese Dell with a 5 and a 3, essentially. Reese has said the lady at the end is a being from another universe, and I'd put good money on it being a Time Lord or somebody we already know. Now, we're jumping ahead a little bit here, but why not? I mean, this episode's all over the place, so we might as well. Obviously, at the end of the story, we have this moment where the Doctor is begging the Maury to show her more of her past, and we sort of dive backwards into this weird interaction with this character that we have not seen before, who from the credits we know is called Aswok. So very strange scene and very intriguing. Again, one of the things that excited me most coming out of the episode. Do you think that Aswok is someone we know? Or do you think Aswok is someone completely new? Or do you think Aswok is nothing to do with anything? Do you think Aswok is a red herring? Aswok could be anything. Who, hashtag, what, who, where, why is Aswok? Is my question.
It's a very good question. And a very odd one, because I have no clue what this old lady could be.
Me neither.
She seemed very uppity, like your standard Time Lord. So I'm just kind of on the vein of which, if it's going to be someone, will it be one that we already know? Or will it be someone completely new? Like, is she going to be a new character? Or is she someone like Barusa or Rassilon in disguise? Or just a different generation, not necessarily in disguise. It's what's made it very intriguing, because you're not quite sure. And you just try and string on every single line that they say, just for any sort of clue, but you gather none. And that's what I'm getting at the minute. I think there's more to her than meets the eye, though, that's for sure.
I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, a lot of people have been screaming Rani.
No.
It's not going to happen, guys.
It's not.
Everybody wants the Rani. It's not gonna happen.
No.
I mean, it could. We're gonna look stupid now if it is the Rani.
If it turns out to be the Rani, I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll accept that. But
I mean,
didn't see that.
Why not? I'm sort of in for anything in this series. It's just sort of, I'm just sort of reveling in the chaos of it, and I love it.
I've long been in favor of a modern take on the Rani, but the Rani isn't necessarily one that would stick to such regal behavior. So the Rani usually behaves in her own interests.
Yes, definitely. Well, yes, Reese, very interesting scene, and we are none the wiser. I hope you aren't coming here for answers. We have none. So there you go. The next one, a bit of a long one, this, but hopefully it will lead to a discussion about probably the big thing from this episode that I think we all want to talk about, which I'm very excited for. Luke at Bannerman Road on Twitter, great work getting that. I'm surprised it wasn't snapped up sooner. I think the team being in the time storm and thus displaced through the past and the future of their time streams was such a brilliant and creative way to explore characters' backstories and do some character work, as well as a great way to reintroduce the fugitive Doctor. Although I wish she was in it more, and hope this opens up the possibility to see more fugitive Doctor appearances in the future, because Joe Martin is brilliant. Well, I mean, I concur, and I imagine you do too.
Of course.
So the fugitive Doctor's back in sort of in the guise of during the Doctor's memory moment thing. We see the siege of Atropos, a moment from the Doctor's past, performed through Jodie, but it is the fugitive Doctor, and we see glimpses of. What were your thoughts on Jo Martin's return? Because I think from something that you've posted, I think we have very similar thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued to hear what you have to say.
Here's where I get my soapbox. Yeah, I was excited. Like, as soon as Jo appeared, I was just like, you have my attention, episode. You have my attention.
I'm in.
Yeah, and then she, obviously the whole reflection thing, I was cool with that. And then she didn't really show up again. And then we get to the confrontation bit, and she just glitches in and contributes the occasional word. And I was just sitting there like, no. It was just kind of like when you see a very tasty dessert and then you just take a spoonful of it. Thank you very much. The waiter comes by, takes it away. It was only a taster. You have to wait for the rest. But there's no guarantee that it's ever going to happen, and that makes me sad. But yeah, Fugitive Doctor, I loved seeing her back, but it was the same problem I really had with Timeless Children as well. They brought her back, and they made very little use of Jo Martin's actual talents. And in fact, I'd say this is slightly more egregious in the way that we lived out a key moment of the Fugitive Doctor's life with someone else playing the Fugitive Doctor.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that's such a missed opportunity, because we had it right there. It was right there to be able to just show a real doctory moment, a big Doctor speech for the Fugitive Doctor. And it was kind of just not. It was just taken away and split between, I'd say, 75-25 between Jodie and Jo, when honestly it should have been either equal or 75-25 to Jo herself.
Yeah.
I mean, keep Jodie in there because the constant reminders of it being, mind palace thing. But we needed more Jo in that big climatic moment, because that would have made it so much cooler to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a good scene nonetheless, but it would have been way better if we saw it as it was originally intended, instead of having like Jodie just say the lines that the Fugitive Doctor is saying, instead of us seeing the Fugitive Doctor say the lines.
Yeah.
It was
I
just
completely agree. I have to say, I have to say I agree. I mean, obviously, I don't think it's a disrespect to Jodie in any way.
No,
because I mean, the scene in context of the performance itself. I mean, I actually saw a little clip before I came on of the behind the scenes where Jodie is talking about how she held herself differently when she was doing that speech as Jo Martin's Doctor. Which was really, really cool to see. And I was like, that is a really nice little element of the performance, the way that she said when she's performing as the Doctor, she sort of makes herself smaller, and she has like bad posture, and she sort of zips through lines, but she very much intentionally went more direct, and she was stood up straight, very much in the way that Jo Martin would have performed it, which is really cool. And it's great from Jodie, but I just think, like you said, this is that moment for the Fugitive Doctor. This is a key moment in their past, and it does feel like it was slightly taken away. I think the start was really good of that section, when they're planning the siege, because it did hold a bit of mystery as to what is going on with the Doctor here, the different code, the different demeanor, what is happening here. But I think from the moment we see that reflection, the veil should break, and it is pretty much Jo Martin the whole way from there. I think that would be so much better, because you've also got Jodie in all of these other sections jumping in and out. So it's not like you'd be sidelining Jodie. She's still got a lot to work with in this episode. Yeah. And then she gets some big moments at the end to prove, to not prove herself, but she gets some really nice moments. But yeah, I just think it was a bit of a missed opportunity. I mean, the way it's set up, you'd think she's coming back, right? You'd think we're going to see it before the end of the series. I mean, maybe, obviously, I spoke before about how you could do Survivors of the Flux as like a Dr. Light episode. Maybe not. Maybe just give it to Joe. Yeah. Maybe just give Joe an episode and tie the two together. I mean, maybe we could be on the cards for a multi-Doctor finale, which would be,
I'd be down for that.
Would be wonderful. Yeah, but I just think it would have worked so much better if she just got that moment to shine. Yeah. And yeah, it was the teasers as well. I think it would have been even. I think even if they hadn't have cut Joe Martin in, it would have been even slightly better, because we just don't even get that tease of it. Yeah, it's the fact that we've got those little moments, and it's like, I really want to see her do this. But maybe that's part of the master plan. Maybe Chibnall is building up to her big moments, but I do feel like it should be here. It really should.
Exactly. Yeah. He damn well better be holding on to a big moment for her, because as it happens, all of the big moments have really been at the benefit of Jodie's at this present point in time.
Pretty much.
Because Fugitive of the Jadoon, that was contributing to Jodie's arc. Timeless Children, contributing to Jodie's arc. Once Upon Time, contributing to Jodie's arc. Yeah. So all of her moments have been at the behest of really Jodie. So I want some solo Fugitive Doctor. They made a big thing last year about Fugitive Doctor being like, she is a main Doctor, not parallel universe. I'm like, cool. How about you do something with her then? And when I mean do something with her, I don't just mean give us some cameos. I mean give us a full thing. So
give us the thing. Give us it.
Like,
that's what we want.
Give us it. Yeah.
We need to all rock up to episode. Cardiff and go full gangster on Chris Chibnall until he just gives it.
And just does it.
Just go full Cockney.
Yeah.
You give me my Fugitive Doctor now.
You ain't leaving until you do. See them? They all want Russell T Davies back. Well, they ain't gonna have him because you're staying, son. You're staying.
I can do this all day. Love that. The other bit of that section is obviously the team around the Doctor is interesting. So we've got Yaz, Dan, and Vinda, but it's not Yaz, Dan, and Vinda. It's other people with Yaz, Dan, and Vinda's face. Yeah. Very interesting. Now we know that Dan was Carvanista. Very interesting, because if we're going by the timeless logic that Joe Martin is before Hartnell, that means Carvanista is like a pre-Susan companion, which is cool.
Which is insane, yeah.
The Doctor's just going around cutting about with big dog men, which is neat. I think the general consensus among other people seems to be that Yaz could be Gat and Vinda could be Lee. I imagine you're the same. I mean, you don't suppose you have any controversial answers on? I mean, I did have one thought, and this was while I was watching it the first time. As we were sort of going around there, I was like, well, if they're different characters, I'm like, why do I have a feeling that one of these could be Romana? I don't know why. Could be. I mean, maybe an older Romana meeting a much younger Doctor.
I guess
it could work out, but I don't know why it popped into my head, to be honest, because there's not really any links to it whatsoever, apart from that one little Fred hint we got in July on a random website. That's literally the only thing that could link Romana to this series. But yeah, I think it's probably Gat and Lee, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the safe bet to assume it's Gaston Lee. I mean, I was considering if there's any other possibilities, and maybe Vinder is maybe, I don't know, could possibly 5% chance, maybe the master pre-memory wipe in the form of
Maybe.
Koschei, as he was originally known.
Yeah.
So, and we know that the Doctor and the Master worked quite closely together in their youth. So I don't know if that partnership would have extended into their previous pre-wiped lives, if the Master did indeed have a pre-wiped life.
Maybe.
So
Maybe
that's the only other possibility I can think of. But other than that, I feel like Lee is a very safe bet, and it would tie in very nicely to Fugitive of the Jadoon. And Gat, again, is probably the most fitting person as well. So
yeah,
I can't really see any fault in that logic. I can't really see it being anybody else.
Yeah, no, I feel exactly the same. I mean, we do have one last little question. Not question. Why do I keep saying question? I say this every week. We're not doing questions now. This is theory time. Ollie Linklater, at Ollie Linklater on Twitter. The Angel had the Doctor, Dan, and Vinder to choose from in the Maury sequences, but it chose Yaz, something which we've touched on. Something must be going on with her, perhaps similar to Amy counting down in Flesh and Stone. Chibnall did say they have a sinister part to play this series. So yeah, I mean, it's very similar to what we've said. Another thing as well, just something that I feel like we forgot to mention.
Oh yeah.
That moment, that little scene when they're playing the video game, like I said, one of my favorite scenes in the episode, really terrifying. Just edge of reality in an actual Doctor Who episode, which is quite hilarious. The Doctor says that there's something wrong with Yaz's time stream, and we have these little tidbits about we're not in Yaz's house. Like the things that Dan and Vinder see are obviously disjointed because we're time jumping to different events and different places, and everything's wrong. But they're places and moments that they recognize.
Yeah.
But Yaz doesn't seem to get this, and Yaz's seem to be a little bit more disjointed. So again, something seems to be happening with Yaz, which intrigues me quite a lot. But thank you, everybody, for getting in touch. That led to some wonderful discussion. So thank you all. I mean, we've covered so much, but there's so much left to cover.
No.
I mean, I think the one character the two characters we haven't touched on really would be Dan and Vinder. Let's go to Vinder first. We get a bit more of Vinder this week, which is nice. I've wanted to see a bit more of him, and I feel like now I get him and I get the character, and I really like him as well. I think he's a lovely character. What did you feel about all of those scenes and the section with the Grand Serpent, a very peculiar new character who's popped up out of nowhere? What were your thoughts there?
I thought that was a really cool way to give some context and some backstory, so we know where he got to where he was, and like just his general character, because we know Vinder he is an honorable bloke. He is definitely on the side of good for sure. But it was the method of which he had kind of had himself consigned to that, I guess, the Future's version of a dead-end job, manning an outpost. The Grand Serpent came across as an utter arse, so it must have been absolute dreadful to work with. Not sure why the hell that they haven't been assassinated yet, but oh well, that's the future. But they were obviously a very morally corrupt character, which made it very interesting as to Vinder's the organization he was with. I want to learn more about them. I want to know where their end game is.
Yes, well, I'm pretty sure there is a scene in one of the trailers with the Grand Serpent in more like period clothing, which is weird, that we haven't seen yet. So that would show that they're probably going to come back. And again, very excited to see them. I did have one little nitpick, actually. I don't know if it's a nitpick. Might be a little bit more than a nitpick. What's halfway between a nitpick and a gripe? Somewhere in the middle.
Minor criticism.
Minor criticism. There you go. A nit gripe.
Yeah.
My nit gripe is the scene with the sort of general guy who is also Yaz and Vinda.
Yeah.
I think that Yaz performing that entire scene was quite distracting for me. Especially the first time around that I was watching it, I was like, I'm not really focusing on what's being said here. I'm just a bit confused about Yaz and what's going on here.
Well, why is she here?
Yeah, I think it would have been better if, again, it's like, I like the concept of it, but I think the split was just a little bit wrong. I think if you'd have had the actual general guy there talking to Vinda, and we actually focus more on the conversation because we're not trying to figure out what's going on elsewhere, and then just have these little flickers of Yaz, I think that would work a lot better. Or maybe if the doctor is coming through the general instead, in the same way that she does with Dan and with Yaz, I think that would have worked a bit better. But again, it's a nit gripe. It's a minor criticism. So
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, it just took me out the scene a bit. Like I get that it's meant to be mental, but
I guess it could relate to how Yaz's time stream is maybe degrading or something.
Maybe
and she's ending up in other people's time streams.
Yeah, I mean, well, if I get an explanation to that, I mean, I don't mind that much, but if I get an explanation to it, I mean, I'll be more than happy.
Yeah,
but, it's fine. It's fine. I can live with it. It's just, like I said, just took me out a little bit. I'm just running through my notes to find out what else. I mean, Dan, I think we sort of saw, a lot of what we probably would have expected to see from Dan, which was going back through Liverpool, seeing Diane. Then we get the twist with Diane, which is what Billy predicted on the Review of Death podcast. So congrats, Billy. You nailed it. You got it, boy. We spoke about it last week on the podcast. It was Passenger containing Diane. Passenger's a weird concept, but I like it, like a Tupperware box for humans, like a walk-in Tupperware box. Who also, it's a bit more interesting than just having him there or them there as a grunt. Just a bit of muscle. I think it's a really interesting concept to have them as like a container for human beings or for any beings. I find that really interesting.
Same. I thought, like you, I thought in the previous episode it was a bit of muscle, just like a strong boy brought along to keep order, because there was a line being like, step on those steps or passenger will not be very happy. And that could interpret that as a threat. Or was that a warning as to something might happen to you? Look at these things in retrospect. Something like happened to Diane or something. But the whole concept very cool. It reminds me somewhat of the test selector. But I do feel like there is a lot that can be explored with that.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I like that. And obviously in that scene with the sort of fugitive doctor and old Swarm, old Swarm is interesting as well. We didn't touch on that really, but having two different actors play the same character at different points in their life, but also our understanding is that old Swarm is actually young Swarm, but young Swarm I'm confused. So we've got Swarm who's got more stuff on his face from the beginning of the series, who then gets rejuvenated into the Swarm that we've seen for most of the series. I like Swarm. I think everyone's general consensus is Swarm and Azure are top villains. Didn't see a lot of them this episode. Not a lot of them in in the way that we've seen them in the past couple of episodes. We get that little scene at the end between the Doctor and Dan, and with the Diane reveal. What are your thoughts on Swarm and Azure so far? You liking them? You
I'm
enjoying
loving
them?
them. Yeah, I'm loving them. They do seem like an old-fashioned campy who baddie.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed watching, maybe just due to the acting they do, but their story is very compelling as well, even though it's only been a short amount of time since we actually got to know them, and we don't get that much screen time to them, but they have such a presence.
Yeah.
A presence that is definitely like very much felt on screen, and I really enjoyed watching them. Swarm is delectable, to be honest.
Yes.
Just in his whole attitude, his sass. Again, I've made this comparison so many times on Twitter, but he is very much like Pinhead in Hellraiser. He's got that same vigor and atmosphere around him, and the fact that he's basically a humanoid with things sticking out of his head. Azure as well, very much like the female Cenobite, right down to design really as well. She's blue and bald and has decoration in a sense around, also wearing black clothing. I could go on all day, but I digress. The thing is, I just love that we have such a strong antagonist for this series. Last series we got the Master, which was awesome, but the Swarm as well is looking to be just as cool, and the fact that they have a presence all through it is more to their benefit, really. So I can't wait to see what their end game is.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, that's just the case with Flux so far, is that it's just every single week, no matter what you think of the episode, it just gets you more excited for the week after. That week by week excitement, I don't think I felt like this. I mean, I've been excited the past couple of years. I've felt that sort of that hype, even though this era, I've not loved all of it. I've loved certain bits of it. There's some bits that I'm a bit lukewarm on, some bits I've not really liked, like with anything really. But in terms of the hype and the hype around the fandom as well and stuff, I think we are at like levels that I've not seen since I was a kid, which is really, really exciting. Like week by week, and getting these episode titles drop in, and getting the promo photos and little teasers. The trailers are really good this series as well, especially that one for Village of the Angels. That's a good trailer, and I'm excited to see a little bit more. I mean, hopefully, usually on a Tuesday we get like a BBC America version that's a little bit extended, so maybe we'll get that tomorrow.
Okay, even more extended, because this is more extended than the usual ones.
That would be lovely. I think I've got a good feeling about episode 4. I've got a really, really good feeling. Chapter 4, sorry.
I believe it's being written. I believe it's being written by Maxine Alderton as well as Chris Chibnall.
Co-written.
Co-written, and Maxine Alderton was fantastic the last series with Villa Diodati, so she's gonna lend her talents to the Angels quite spectacularly.
Well,
I think
I get the vibe that obviously we know that COVID, that dreaded word, sort of interrupted the original plans for this series.
Yeah,
and I imagine that there were probably a few scripts already on the go. I would imagine this was probably one of them. I can see that this was probably a standalone story that is now sort of being threaded into Flux, which I also felt a bit with War of the Sontarans. I thought maybe that was like a solo Chibnall series opener that's sort of been dropped into Flux. But yeah, I mean, if Maxine Alderton is the exception to this being all Chris Chibnall written, I mean, she must have written something good to have gone in, which is very exciting, very, very exciting. And obviously that's all built up in those last few scenes in the episode. Obviously, we touched on it earlier. We get Vinder going back to his home planet. The reveal of Vinder and Belle being together, which was really
Yeah.
nice. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was a bit like, oh, okay, it's fine. Yeah, that's okay. Because I feel like I just wasn't really I was expecting it to build towards a bigger reveal. Not that I hated the reveal. I just thought it was going to be something different. Second time I watched it, I loved it. I loved that whole dynamic and the little plot threads of, you know, the video message to Belle at the end when Vinder's on Outpost Rose and her watching it. It's a lovely, lovely scene where she's like sat by the fire, which I imagine after the past year and a half of, you know, being isolated from one another, I think it probably hit home quite nicely for a few people. But yeah, really, really lovely little plot thread. And I can't wait to see them two again, because I imagine we will before the series is out.
100%, absolutely. They were delightful.
Yeah,
lovely. I mean, there's also the revelation of Belle being pregnant. So
yeah, very interesting. Well, that's another theory that's been going around of Belle and Vinder potentially. I mean, are they having a timeless child?
Yeah, that is.
I mean, that's a whole other video in itself. You know, if we're seeing potentially the Doctor's parents be introduced as companions, which is really, really cool concept.
You've got to admire that. If Chibnall does that, then that man has balls on him to do that.
Cojones.
You know, cojones. People are not going to like that, but I have to admire the courage of his conviction to just go for it. If that happens, it could easily be something else. But if it turns out to be that, well played. Good luck.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing that you can say about Chibnall in the past series and a half, probably since Fugitive, I mean, it's balls to the wall is probably the phrase that comes to mind. He has gone all in. So it wouldn't surprise me if he did something mental like that. But at the same time, it would also shock me to my core. So yeah, I mean, it would be very, very exciting.
I don't think any of us are ready for the atmosphere the Who fandom will have if that turned out to be the case. You could. Oh no, I don't want to think about it. Oh God.
Yes. Well, we'll see. I mean, very exciting. We'll put a little pin in that, and hopefully, with my next guests, it will develop, and we'll find out a bit more about Belle and Vinder, because it seems weird to put it in there if it's not going to be relevant. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. It's a very weird way to say it as well. I feel like she says as your as yet unborn child, which I was like,
you're beautiful as of yet unborn child, I believe.
Yeah. It's a little bit clunky. I was like, just say baby.
Beautiful. Just say child.
Sprog. Kid. Yeah, the little one.
Kiddo.
Something like that.
The seed.
Yeah. The seed. I mean, and then obviously we finish with that monumental cliffhanger, which again we touched on briefly. Great cliffhanger, and another great one. The angels have the phone box again, which is lovely. It's lovely to say that. But yeah, I mean, there's probably bits we've missed. What a real wild ride!
It's just so much.
There is actually one thing I've completely missed. There's one character we haven't really talked about, which is the Doctor. You know, it's sort of their show.
About
that. I just wanted to say, I mean, Jodie is knocking it out of the park this series. She's turned it up a gear, in my opinion. I thought she definitely turned it up a gear in series 12. And then she's hitting new heights here. I think her performance, the anger and the desperation, and then that the way she sort of bottles that up with Yaz as well is so well played. I imagine you might feel the same. You might not. Who knows?
Oh no! I definitely feel the same. I think that Jodie is just gone into a whole new level of performance this year with these episodes. She's thoroughly found her character, and she's adding so many new dimensions to it. Just the way that she is conveying her stress at the situation and her anger, even in the scene where she's snapping at Yaz, you can just feel this sheer desperation. It is very well handled, and it's like the character of this persona of the Doctor is just breaking down, and in it, it's just so bewildering yet awesome to see, because you compare it to a performance in series 11 where she's just a bit more laid back and just like the series 13, she's like, that's a very visual way of doing it, isn't it? Not so good for your podcast users. Oh god. She's just not particularly having a good time of it, really, is she, the 13th Doctor? So I think Jodie is absolutely selling that level of just internal tension that she's going through right now.
Yeah, definitely, completely agree. Well, that's sort of that. I mean, once upon a time, a wild ride. I think that's what we're taking away today. But I don't think the podcast is over, because last week pandemonium happened in a new segment that started catastrophically, but in a very fun way. So if you haven't listened to last week's episode where I chat about War of the Sontarans with George Sheard, the last 20 minutes are chaos and like in a quiz. So of course, and as well as I need to point out, you're about to see a brand new logo for this segment that was made by the wonderful George Sheard. So give it up for him, and give it up for Quiz Chibnall. Yes, it's Quiz Chibnall time. Who's ready for another quiz? I hope you are, Dom, because you're the only one getting one. So there you go.
Absolutely. Yeah, love a good quiz.
Well, that you've come to the right place then. Everybody, if you want to play along at home, feel free. I mean, you don't win a prize, unfortunately, but let me know in the comments how you get on, or tweet me. I'd love to hear how you get on with this one, because it's tough. I think it's tougher than you'd think. But I think you will step up to the mark. Now, George is our current champion. I can't remember what he got because it all sort of descended into madness. But I'm going to say, if you get, I'm going to set a high bar here. There are 18 possible answers to this. Question.
I don't like this already.
Okay. There are 18 possible answers to this question. I'd say if you get 13, I will crown you the new champion of Quiz Chibnall.
We'll see what happens then.
How do you feel?
I take nothing for granted. But
okay, we'll see if you can take the
my
crown.
best.
We'll see. Now, your question is, I want you to name every Doctor Who story with the word time in the title. Now, before we start, I just need to clarify, because again, a lot of confusion last week and a lot of anger. I got swore at by George because of my ill clarity with the rules. So when we're talking a story, classic Who, it's a story. It's the one.
Not the story.
The one story. When it comes to New Who, it is the episode, or hint, chapter. So that we're the one individual part. So you've got 18 to get.
And how much time do I have?
You sort of have however long you want. I mean,
well, we'll work it out. We'll go for it.
If this was a real game show and I was giving you my money, I'd definitely put a time limit on it. But
yeah,
take your time, man.
Okay,
I'm here. Let's go.
Time for the final chase. Right. Okay. So I'll go over the ones I know, and then I'll dig deeper, even try and dredge some ones up that I'm not too sure on. Okay, so right, from the top that I can think of, we'll move straight to the Pertwee era. So we've got the Time Warrior.
The Time Warrior is one.
Yeah. Okay, if we go through season 12, I'm just gonna go through all the seasons episodes that I remember in my head. They didn't tend to be quite so literal, did they? It didn't really use time that much in the classic series, but when they did, it was quite poignant.
Didn't.
So, Invasion of Time.
The
again.
Invasion of Time is correct. You've got another one. Also, I don't want to distract you. This is also for people playing along at home. If time is in a word, I'll let you have it.
Oh, if it's in a word, I see.
If it's in a word, I'll let you have it.
Oh, okay. Right. Not exactly drawing a blank, but I'm slowly going. No, wait, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute.
Hard.
I'm revisiting. I'm gonna need a rule check now.
Okay, rule check.
Trial of a Time Lord. What's gonna happen with this? Trial of a Time Lord.
Yeah, I'll give you Trial of a Time Lord as one. That's fine. You can have that because that's a whole thing, and we're not going to get into the is Trial of a Time Lord one story debate now. We're nah. Let's not do that. So yeah, you can have it. You can have Trial of a Time Lord. Cool. There's your third.
Oh, Time Lash.
Time Lash, an underrated classic, I believe. In my opinion, I'm getting the vibe that Dom doesn't agree.
Funny man, Josh. Funny man.
It's
not that bad. No. I'm only kidding. It's for itself. It is pretty decent. I will say. I do find it enjoyable. Certain elements could have been done away with, but you know what? Nah, let's slide. It's decent.
It's okay. We'll just settle on the fact that it's a 10 out of 10. Okay.
Okay.
Not that far. Don't worry, guys. I'm not insane. Right, you've got 4. What did I set you the bar?
13.
13. Right, let's try and get 13 for the 13th Doctor. One for every Doctor.
Yeah.
In the main line.
Time Flight.
Time Flight, correct. Now you're dwindling down the classic stories. I'm not gonna lie to you.
There's not really much left in the classic stories, are there? Okay, so that means okay, I'm gonna have to go for every single. I mean, I've done this before. I do know every Who title off the top of my head. I've done that Sporkle quiz more times than I know, but it's just gonna take me some time.
I know. It's the pressure. The pressure gets to people. Yeah, there's a few in here that I genuinely think I would have tripped up on, just because I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah.
Series.
So we do it on a series by series basis. Okay, so you got series 1, you've got Time, and the end. No, that's jumping way too hard right now. I'll get there eventually. I won't say that yet. I just thought of a later one. I'm not gonna say it yet.
Okay.
Okay. Human nature. No. Family blood. No. Blink. No. Last of the Time Lords.
The Last of the Time Lords.
I could have done that immediately, but I chose the wrong way round.
No, you did. You teased one before. Yeah. I'd go there. Where were you?
The End of Time.
The End of Time. The End of Time itself. Now you're rocking at 7.
I feel I've still got a few more.
Yeah, you're confident. You seemed very calm and collected. This is a far cry from George last week. The comparison is very different. I mean, you are obviously you're a very calm man.
I do my best.
You've got it. You've got this wrapped up. I think you're going to do it.
Well, I'll take nothing for granted, but if I just take it narrow, I should get there. We'll see. Right. Time of Angels will be for my next one.
Time of Angels. Correct.
I believe that is the only time featuring title in Series 5 up to that point.
I'll give you that.
Episode 4.
You're right.
Rebel Flesh, the Almost People, Good Man Goes to War. There should have been a test of how many Doctor episodes you can actually name, really.
Yeah, I know. You're getting so many Doctor episodes, just not the ones with time in the title.
Yeah.
You're going to get there. You're going to get there.
Yeah. 6, 7. I suppose Good Man Goes to War, Night Terrors, The girl who waited. Closing time.
Closing time. That was one that I thought people would trip up on. Definitely.
This is where I tend to slow down in the Sporkle quiz.
Yeah, it's always where I start struggling. Is the back end of the Smith era, early Capaldi. I can never remember the episodes.
Yeah, you could. They just never come to you. But getting there. Hyde. Crimson Horror. Oh,
Crimson Horror. Yeah.
No, was someone between Hyde and Crimson Horror, wasn't there? That was Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, which isn't got a time, but I'm just remembering that for my own personal pride. Then it's Crimson Horror, and then it's Nightmare in Silver, and then it is The Name of the Doctor, and then Day of the Doctor, and Time of the Doctor.
Time of the Doctor. There we go. Another one. Now, where are you at now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3 more to get. And you've got the title.
All right. So now we're heading to Capaldi. So deep breath into the dike. The Robot of Sherwood. Listen. Time Heist.
Time Heist. Correct. Now, 2 more. I'll give you a little hint as to where you're at now. You've got 7 possible answers left.
Okay.
4 of which are in the new series, 3 of which are in the classic series.
Cool.
Now, I know you're cycling through. There is one though that has not been said yet that I feel like you need to get.
Once Upon Time.
Once Upon Time. Yes. I was going to say I didn't. Because George also forgot in the episode last week where we were trying to get the Sontaran appearances. George forgot to say the Halloween apocalypse. He said War of the Sontarans, which is good.
No, that's good. That would have been more embarrassing.
That would have been worse. But yeah, go ahead. So 3 from the new series and 3 from the classic series.
Okay. So where was I in my count? I was at series 8. Might as well now. I'll get this one out of the way. Twice Upon a Time.
Twice Upon a Time. Yes, you're very close to another one there as well. Very close. There is one.
Yeah.
A couple either side. World Enough in Time. So good. And
now the next one is After. So
yeah, I think looking at this, you've smashed it already. You've got 14 with 4 left to get. Do you think you can get those last 4?
I'll give it a go.
To put you out of your misery.
I'll give it a go for the next one of the new series.
Go on.
Okay, so the Timeless Children.
The Timeless Children, and that is all of the new series ones gone.
Amazing.
So you've got 3 classics that you didn't get.
Right. We'll try and dig deep for these. God, it's just trying to narrow down which one.
If you want me to give you a clue.
Just tell me, do I need to, is there one in the black and white?
There's one in the black and white.
Okay. All right. Now let's try and think. The one in the black and white, but the rest of the cut. Okay. I can work with that. I won't keep you too long. I'll just do it a few more minutes and then I'll give up. Okay.
I love the idea that everybody at home is either in the exact same position you're in, just racking their brains trying to find this out, or they're screaming at their phones.
Being like, "It's that, you moron!" Right. No. There's no such story, Dom. Don't be an idiot. My brain was just like, say Time of the Daleks. No, Dom. No, you made that up on the spot.
That's a Big Finish story, isn't it? Am I right in saying that's a Big Finish story?
Probably,
yeah. Paul McGann story.
I feel like it might be. Yeah.
There you go. Bonus point. I'll give you a bonus point.
A bonus point. Bless. there's also my brain says, say Time of the Cybermen. No, mate, that is Tomb of the Cybermen. You remember that completely wrong.
I feel like
I'm gonna kick
I
myself.
feel like you're gonna. I feel like
nah.
No, I don't know if you kick yourself. They are tough. I think these are 3 tough ones.
Okay.
I'm gonna give them to you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give them right I'll give you the first. I'll give you the doctor that they're attached to, just in case before I say it pops into your mind, and that gives you a chance to jump in.
Cool.
So starting with the first doctor.
No.
You're not going to get it.
No.
We have the Time Meddler. Oh no! Oh, I know it's hard. It's hard. I think that's tough.
Oh, that's tough. Annoying. That's annoying.
Okay.
Oh well, never mind.
And then we go over to the third Doctor, because you said the Time Warrior.
Yeah, I said the Time Warrior.
There's also the Time Monster.
Oh, the Time Monster. Oh yeah,
with Tom Tit and Naked Benton. A very strange episode.
Okay,
Wonderful
I can forgive myself for forgetting that one.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. It's a pretty forgettable story. And the final one is a series opener and a regeneration story.
Oh, Time of the Barney.
Time of the Rani. I'll give you that one. You nipped in there. So overall, I'm going to give you the crown of Quiz Chibnall champion with a hell of an effort. 16 out of 18. That is wonderful. I mean, you're now going to have to have this out with George, because I'm sure George, after his very good effort last week, is going to be very upset that you've taken his crown.
I didn't mean to. It's not personal.
It's not
just
personal.
Another day at the office.
You're just too good. And next week, of course, I mean, we're now at the end of the show, so I'll tease what's to come. Next week, we'll be talking about Village of the Angels, and I will be joined by the meme queen herself, Chloe.
Wonderful
Chloe Lilly. Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride, I imagine. But I'm very, very excited for it. And she has a chance to take your crown with another quiz. So we'll see how she gets on.
We'll see.
Definitely. So, I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure. This has been very, very, very fun. Before we go, I just want to give you the opportunity to plug away whatever you want to plug. Plug yourself, my friend.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Well, if anybody would like to find me on social media, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Who Chaser. You can follow me on Twitter at Dominic JGM, or on my Instagram at Dominus of Time. I also have the audio series Doctor Who Remnants, which is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also available to watch on my YouTube channel. And of course, coming soon in the winter period, we're going to say, the Purple Doctor's debut adventures will be beginning on the DW2012 YouTube channel, and you can follow the progress on the Dynamic Works 2012 Twitter, which is at DW2012, or the Instagram, which is at Dynamic Works 2012. So yeah.
Very exciting. A lot of exciting stuff coming.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe, it's not maybe, it's definitely time that we have you on the podcast proper.
It would be my honor.
I mean, let's keep an eye out. I imagine in the new year, we'll get you on very early in the new year.
Oh yeah.
It's coming. So yeah, I mean, obviously, thank you all for listening. If you want to support the podcast, please share it around, comment below your thoughts on Once Upon a Time or Flux so far, like it. Really, really helps us out. If you want to support even further, we now have a Patreon where you can get exclusive little goodies. You can get discounts to our merch store. You can get Who Knew t-shirts if you want. You can get Who Knew mug. Not this one. This is my own, but it very similar designs anyway. I think they look a little bit better than this one. You can get early access to podcasts and stuff. You can get early access to guest announcements. You get a Discord server. So many cool things. So if you want to sign up to the Patreon and you want to help support the podcast, I would love you forever and always. And in terms of where you can find us on YouTube. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter at Josh Ryan Carr, or you can follow the podcast at Who Knew Podcast. And we're on Instagram too, Who Knew DWPod, which I need to update. I'm really, really slack on that. But once again, it's been an absolute pleasure. I think I've plugged everything that I need to plug. Doctor Who Flux is fluxing its way through us all. And I hope this podcast helps you through the process, because I'm exhausted. I'm loving it, but I'm exhausted. But thank you, Dominic, for joining me. It has been an absolute pleasure.
It's been wonderful. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Lovely. And I'll see you all soon. Big thank you to all of our patrons, and a massive shout out to Alfie Innes and Cal King. Thanks for listening to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. You can check us out wherever you get your podcasts and now on YouTube. Please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you can, as it really helps us out. And a massive thanks to the Sononauts for lending their cover of the Doctor Who theme to be the theme for the podcast.